What is going on? Welcome back to another episode. So what we're gonna do today, guys, real quick, we're gonna be as quick as possible. We are gonna give you guys a breakdown of how the Maraca float rig works. All right, guys, so when you guys get your Maraca float leader, it's basically gonna look like this. It's gonna be in 3 parts. This is a Spartan tackle weight. Buy this too when you run these floats, and I'll have some more tips at the end, but when you run these floats, you're gonna want a heavy weight. You can either use a claw or a breakaway like a sandbag. You fill the sandbag up with sand or stones and you tie 20 or 30 pound mono to it, okay? Now, here's how it works. So, let me untangle it. All right, guys, so it's basically in 3 pieces. So I'm gonna start with the actual float part the float part first. This is the Maraca float. This is gonna rattle right here and make noise every wave it hits. Now, the way that this works is you take the mono section of the leader and you see this swivel that slides? That's what you clip the float to, okay? Like this. All right, now that's clipped. Now the other swivel on the bottom of the mono section, that's where you're gonna clip your weight to, like this. Okay, so like that so far. Now the bites cable, which is here, okay? You're gonna take the other snap swivel right here, okay? And that goes on to the other section of the float, like this. See? And what happens is this float slides up and down the mono. Can you see this here, this mono? So this float is gonna slide up and down this mono right here, okay? With the weight going to the bottom there, you're gonna put your bait here, okay? And that's and now this is obviously what you're gonna tie to your main line right here. So that's tied to the main line. As you can see, the sliding float is here, the weight is there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to set it up on your kayak. All right, guys, so I'm gonna show you how to do the kayak setup right now. Now, it's also important that whoever is at shore, you're gonna wave your paddle when you're done deploying so that they can tighten up the line. Once the line is tightened up, we're gonna run the float up the mono section of the leader. But watch how I set up the kayak. Oh, this represents a fin bait, okay? This is a fin bait, so you're gonna have to use your imagination. Now, what I'm gonna do is take the weight, if it's a sandbag, just put the sandbag in here. Because it's a weight, I'm just gonna put it in the cleat like this. Now, I'm gonna take the hook part and I'm gonna put it through the other cleat, like right here, okay? So when you're deploying, you want your weight fixed and you want your hook fixed. But if it's a heavy sandbag, you can kind of put it right there, or put it by your, under your butt or by your feet. But this is how I'm gonna run it right here, okay? Now, again, remember this float is gonna slide up and down this leader. Now let's deploy this right now. We're gonna have to simulate the water with this concrete. I'm still sick from double COVID pneumonia, so I have not been able to get out of the beach, but we're gonna act like I'm deploying this right now. So let's deploy it. All right, you guys, now before I wave back to shore with my paddle like this, I first have to drop the weight section. So come with me over here. Okay, so I'm gonna be in the kayak. Okay, like this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first grab the bait section and float section, and I'm gonna hold that section with my hand, like this, okay? So here's the bait right here. I'm gonna hold this. I'm gonna take the weight right here and I'm gonna drop this weight down, okay? Keeping this part in my hand. Now that's gonna sink. Now as that sinks, it's gonna create a slack on the line. So I'm gonna wave back to shore like this. And what Zach is gonna do is he's gonna tighten down the line so that I can turn around in my kayak and run this up the mono like this. Okay, so essentially, guys, imagine that I'm in this kayak right here. I have this in my hand. This mono's tightened up, and I'm gonna paddle until this here comes all the way up. Get closer. Until this goes all the way up here. See? To the tip of where your main line is tied. Now, once that's done, you're gonna throw the bait like this, and you're ready to go. And you guys, It's really that simple. Now let's stay tuned for some tips right now. Okay guys, I want to talk about a couple of tips on how to make this Maraca leader work well. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to the original developer and concept of this design, which are carp fishermen. To all the carp fishermen, thank you for making this concept. And seriously guys, go on YouTube and look up carp fishermen or carp floats, carp surface floats. They have some really amazing floats that a lot of people have copied. Now, couple tips. Number one, you're gonna wanna use this in fairly calm surf. Just don't use it in super rough surf. Watch out for boats. Never run this in a high traffic area because a lot of the times the main line sits on the top of the surface of the water. And also use small-ish baits like fin baits, maybe a bonita or a half a bonita, and that's gonna give you guys the best success. Now, when I use these floats, normally I'm using them on the West Coast when there's structure. And when there's structure on the bottom, that is when you're gonna wanna use a breakaway like a sandbag. You guys, I hope this helps. We'll also include a diagram. Once I get better, I'll also do another video of deploying this in the surf. As always, guys, fish smart and stay tuned for the next episode. See ya.